Good evening, guys, or as we say, dobry večer. And according to our tradition, please let me know that you can hear me and you can see me well. I hope the connection will be fine, and soon there will be more of us. My travels resulted in various time zone confusions. So I hope, like most of you, will manage to join us. Some of you may show up later because I was creating this stream in Poland with -1 hour in time. So anyway, can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me and you can see me well. I was super happy to read all of your greetings from different corners of the world, like hearing you um, from even from Greenland Oblast and from the United States and many other beautiful places. So thank you so much for coffees that met me as soon as I have just came in. Thank you for becoming my patrons. I will thank you because this really disappears very quickly. And dear William, greetings to you, my colleague, my highly respected colleague. And um, first of all, we are with Martin and Spencer, who are my great friends. I am super grateful that this channel introduced me to two beautiful people and people around them, and they will be with us tonight. They will help, they will inspire, they will control me if I'm saying something wrong. But I'm really happy that many of you have come. You are my friends. I'm eager to answer your questions because there are lots of things going on. You possibly might want to know something about my trips, but also mainly and most importantly about the things that are happening in Ukraine or around Ukraine. And if you are with us and you enjoy conversations, you've joined, please like the video. My moderators, beautiful moderators, teach me to do that, to ask you to do that. So please listen to Martin and Spencer and press like button. So do you see me okay? Because I see questions about frozen picture, but I am like from home and I believe connection is okay. I do remember the moment when our video froze somewhere in on the Lake Svites, but perhaps that is the way it is. So it is supposed to be. Okay, thank you so much. Greetings to Michigan. My favorite drink, coffee or tea. Though I always thank you for coffee, I spend most time on tea. I do drink coffee, but honestly, one coffee a day in the morning is enough for me. Also, I like orange coffee. I've told you that's a weird drink that many of you, when hearing the recipe, don't like the idea. But in Ukraine, it's super popular. It's like orange juice, espresso, and ice. And I like it a lot. You can drink it hot or cold. But I'm a tea person and I drink a lot of teas a day. And actually, right here, I have tea with lemon. Um, Okay. I know some of you say that this is Russian tea, but it will be finished really soon. So look at it that way. Also, you know that I've been to Ireland recently, and I know that tea is really good there. Traditions matter, and I had a really small backpack with me to save money and to save emotions when waiting for your luggage. And I packed so many tea in my backpack that like I thought it will not survive, but it did. uh, okay. So let's start and answer some of your questions. And one of the very important questions that I've received is about export, Ukrainian export, and how important it is. Well, one of I don't know if you have watched my Discover Ukraine video about agriculture. Those of you who don't, I advise you, because I often get questions about why Ukraine is an agricultural country, a breadbasket of Europe. Some people like it, some people even inside Ukraine don't like it much and want to be associated with IT. We are also a very digital country, and believe me, traveling around Europe, I feel how digital Ukraine is. Honestly, we are, I'm sorry, but we are super digital. There are problems that we have, like missiles flying in the skies, but we are super digital, and there are many things that we can do using our phone. And our banks have this like incomparable services. But at the same time, we are very much an agricultural country, and I think it's good because people always need bread, people always need food and potatoes, if you're like me. And that's why every fifth Ukrainian works in agriculture. I have that in my video, you can check it. Facts about Ukrainian farming. And the start of war led, first of all, to the capturing and destruction or danger to many, many, many Ukrainian ports. Thus, not letting Ukrainian farmers to export their products. Not all products can be stored for long, but even when they have invented, that Ukrainians adapt really quickly and they invent things that can save the situation, and they've found some things that can help them store it. Russians started targeting these places where storages for grain, which is, from my perspective, a sin. Destroying food when many need it, when it's not a military target, by no means. That's a tragedy, and one more demonstration that Russia is pure evil, like devilish evil. And this led, of course, to losses for farmers. Also, they've mined lots of fields. Many men who worked in agriculture are now in Ukrainian armed forces. Like, you might be surprised to know that like, tractor has a lot in common with tank and other military vehicles, and many men who have this experience, they actually are needed in Ukrainian armed forces. So not being able to export, and with this agricultural blockages, it's going to be is going to be problematic. Also, there's questions like, you've noticed, I've been in Poland when a couple of really emotional things were exchanged. Like this information, the negative comments, and I did not speak much about that because I believe this is just like a quarrel in good relationship among friends or among couples. Sometimes it's better not to dig deeper and just let the situation cool, because Ukrainian farmers, they need to export grain, but of course it should not remain on the territory of Poland, and I'm sure this might finish soon. And greetings to Poland. It's a beautiful country. Honestly, I feel like home there. I'm very grateful for all that you do to our people, how you support them, how you accept them. I was doing some tasks in Poland, and like, Lublin is really close to me. Actually, it's one of the it's very close, actually. It's the neighboring regional center. Food is the same, sky is the same. So I'm very, very grateful for all that you do. And I believe these emotions will pass because, first of all, there are lots of things that we share and we feel your support. And second, thank you for sponsorship, guys. I don't know how it works, but it works beautifully, because like super thanks in Ukraine we don't, but I'm always glad to answer all of your questions. And so I'm grateful to Poland. I'm sure it will all cool down because on the level of people-to-people contacts, everything is fine. And I see the like positive moves already from the side of Zelensky. But of course, it's all caused by Russia. Once again, any problems, if your prices are rising and you have to pay more for petrol, if you have more immigrants, for example, Ukrainian on your streets, it's not the Ukrainian choice. These people did not do it because they've dreamt. Of course, there is a small percentage of people who always wanted to move, but there are lots of people who were forced to do so. And all the like the reason for all of our troubles, for all of our problems, is not Ukraine, not high prices, not something else, but just Russia and Putin and people who support him. Um, also, was a question about Zelensky, if he is a modern president or a more traditional one. I don't know. How can I answer this question? Because I don't know, what do you mean by like traditional and modern? Because some people can describe traditional as something really bad or something really good. Putin thinks that Russia is traditional and he opposes like rotting West. But Zelensky is modern. He is young. He is 45, if I'm not mistaken, and that is really young for a president. But also, he is just young in his style. He was always like that in the way he communicates, in the way he speaks, and he just like his style. I don't know if you can see it, because once again I've repeated it not once, that I've lost the idea. Sometimes it happens with me because I get distracted. I read lots of things that are pretty difficult. Okay. Well, like oligarchs. Let's speak about oligarchs because that's the question that many people ask. Well, first of all, I'm not going to say that Ukraine is a country that has totally won corruption. Believe me, of course, corruption is present. But honestly, I would not say that Ukraine is the most corrupt country in the world, as Russian trolls and Russian narrative starts to say. Well, first of all, the question of corruption, the reforms and other thing, they take place and much attention is paid to that. If you compare us with Russia or some Central Asian countries, they do not discuss this topic at all. In Ukraine, there are lots of NGOs, lots of initiatives, lots of institutions that want to fight the corruption. Our desire to go into the European Union is the desire to live in a more or less equal, transparent society, and that's what all Ukrainian people vote for. Believe me, many of Ukrainian oligarchs were trying to do all they can to stop Ukraine from European integration, because it goes hand in hand. So they don't need EU laws, they don't need these checkups that are anyway done in more advanced countries, in more democratic countries that have longer history. Thank you so much, John, and cheers with my tea to your coffee. By the way, I don't know if you see, it's a bear. And it's one of my really favorite cups, and I drank so hard that I erased its ears. Sorry. But and all of these pro-Russian movements, they were typically funded by oligarchs, because oligarchs come hand in hand with anti-European movements, which means corruption. Russia is the mother of corruption. Soviet Union was like the producer of that, because when you try to create totally artificial society where nothing belongs to anyone, it does not work like that. And in the result, you have lots of people who decide, people who negotiate. I personally, people who come from my generation, oh my God, Johnny, 55, thank yous for coffees. That's an honor and a pleasure, and I try to use your money for the development of the channel. Also, we support with the help of one really good subscriber, the ladies that do the camouflage, and every Ukrainian volunteers. It's like our obligation when you go on Facebook, you come across some initiatives that seem important, you always join them. Of course, I try to help people whom I know. I never collect like organized money because I'm afraid of that. But on a daily basis, we all try to help and do our best. Returning back to oligarchs, I wouldn't say there are many left. Many of them disappeared after 2014, actually. Many of them returned back to Mother Russia. Many of them moved to Austria, Switzerland, and other countries to stay close to their money. After the full scale invasion, like the majority of them disappeared. And in Ukraine, in newspapers, everywhere, they are described as oligarchs. They are treated negatively, and there are lots of investigations about them. It became really difficult for them, like to buy politicians or to create parties. And I see lots of positive processes happening. Now you see Kolomoisky is under investigation, and I hope he will be jailed. Because he's the one who has also influenced my regional policy. He was like through other deputies and smaller people. Of course, that all is really bad, but in Ukraine, we talk about them. We fix all that. We have it on media. And if you compare with your countries, you will also find signs of that. I cannot say that. I cannot say that like it is the problem grew during war. I'd say in country because war actually polarizes people and it makes them like brightens up their qualities, best or worst. And that's what is really important. And that's why actually it's so important not to follow Russian narrative like that. I hate it when they say like, oh, Zelensky is more of a dictator, he does not let men travel. Come on, if it's war, men don't travel even in any of your countries. If I don't wish you ever that, but war is not normal living. That's why lots of things change. And honestly, I feel like I want to I feel like I want to record a video about that because like I like traveling a lot, and I hope that in future we will be able to meet on some grounds, maybe even before the victory. I would love to meet all of you here in Ukraine. I love traveling, but I also love my home very much. And for me, thank you so much, Donald. Sending you much gratitude and cheers. One more. I should start drinking because I'm only saying cheers. Do you know what is the Ukrainian for cheers? Budьмо. Budьmo. Budьmo means let us be, which I think is a beautiful phrase. Let us be. Like, let's be. Thank you so much, Don Boy. I'm a Donny Boy. I'm afraid if I'm not pronouncing some things correctly, that's because like I'm not that good reader. And so anyway, thank you. And in general, Ukraine is fighting hard, and it's important to support us and not to follow this Russian narrative because come on, of course, the level of our democratic institutions is like hundred times higher than it is in Russia or it is in Belarus, or I'm afraid to name some countries, but Central Asia or ex-Soviet republics and other. And most importantly, we have very, very high control of Ukrainian society, civil society that I 100% trust. And cheers to Mike for buying me coffees. So look, concerning the Poland, for me, Poland is one of my favorite countries. I have a lot of friends in Poland. I like it. I know we have like, if you dig dip into the history with any of your neighbors, think about your neighbors in your country. You will find lots of examples where things were not really well. But Poland entered, like Ukraine first. Ukraine is not from it's so difficult. Just you see how bad I am at talking. Sometimes. Well, when I was traveling, that's what I wanted to say. I felt worse than inside Ukraine. Not because I was treated bad, I was treated perfect, and there are lots of good people I want to return and meet once again. But first of all, I get this weird feeling of control that when I'm in Ukraine, everything's going to be more or less all right, or I'm under control. And when I'm outside, I feel like I left it, like I abandoned it. And it is really bad for me. I don't touch these topics with people who are temporarily displaced. I have mentioned that already. I totally understand people who left their war torn zones. I do not understand people who left cities like mine, and believe there are many on both sides, and I don't comment that. But for me, it was really difficult, and I felt like there are so many things that you don't understand, even though you want, not because you don't have enough knowledge or like brains, but because this is a very weird, no, just the contrary, very weird situation. And when you never experienced war, you will never be able to understand that. And once again, I wish you to never understand it and to never experience that. So, from one point of view, I don't want to look like I don't want to look like a victim. For me, it's a problem. And many people who see you, for example, the majority of people whom I've met in Ireland, and when they could not recognize where I'm from, because like when you're traveling to Poland or to Germany, people somehow get the idea that you're possibly from Ukraine. In Ireland, they were constantly, I mean, in pubs, yeah, I've been to beautiful places, or on the streets, in the museums, when they were asking where I'm from, and I said, I'm from Ukraine, they believed, like all of them believed, I live now in Ireland, that it's not that I travel from Ukraine to Ireland. And I had a beautiful conversation with a customs officer, a funny one, in Dublin when I came, and he was asking me, where do you live? And I say, from Ukraine, I live in Ukraine. And he said, like, okay, but where do you live? And I tell him, I live in Hotel Maldron or something. He says, no. I thought he's asking me if I have a place to live in Ireland, because sometimes you have to show that. And then uh, and then I said, like, no, I live in Ukraine and I come back to Ukraine in 5 days. And he could not understand, why am I doing that? Thank you so much, Noah, for buying me coffees. That's an honor and a great support. And I felt like, Noah, I'm coming back. And for many people, it's like you're crazy and you're coming back to, I don't know, burning house. But it's not like that. And for me, not having connection with my country is difficult. And then in Poland, you can get, like, there are planes flying, guys. And that is something I don't see in my country for more than a year. I don't see this signs of planes flying, the smoke that they leave, or how do you call that? And also, I remember I've been to the Carpathian, and this Carpathian mountains are really close to Romania. And watching the mountains, you can see planes flying, and you realize there are questions when people ask you, how did you fly from Kyiv? And you think, no. And there are many, many contrails. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your help. And there are lots of questions that people ask, and they don't understand how it happens, because it's something that you realize only when you go through this experience. You cannot, like, explain a person, I don't know, what the birth of a child is or what death is. It's always personal experience, and war is the same. And and so when talking, but so from one point of view, I don't want you to feel sorry for me, or there will be people who meet a Ukrainian and they think, oh my God, she has manicure, she is wearing earrings, she is not a victim, or perhaps they have won. No, it's not like that. You know that, I don't remember where, but it seems to me in Britain, women were using red lipstick during war to make themselves look more optimistic. It's just like that. You become even more alive during this period. And come on, they don't. I have electricity now. I have like I work, so I can buy myself this is wooden, by the way, earrings, or I can do my nails. And I think that's like, okay, why shouldn't I? But some people, thank you so much, Scott, for coffees, believe that you have to be like always like a little bit dirty, or what, if you come from a country at war. Sometimes, like when we had blackouts and it was cold and I was wearing all I could, I did look different. But like even when I was recording videos, I was trying to apply some, I don't know, makeup and to look better than I can in this situation, because that's a part of my identity. And I think it's normal, and it actually helps people go through difficult things, not just giving up and looking like you're, I don't know. And American women, yeah, demonstrate that, and that's important. And so some people don't understand anything at all. And what I mean by this really long conversation, thank you so much, Edwin, is that uh, sometimes Ukraine can be emotional. Our people can say things that are not 100% like perfect, because maybe that morning you did not sleep and you were hiding somewhere, or you were following the news on the city where your relatives are, or you simply felt desperate, realizing that it is a year and 7 months of this war and you don't know when will it finish, when will the time come when you can plan or you can see something, and other stuff. So you have to keep that in mind. And I think that sometimes when, for example, a president or someone reacts in that way, so we have to understand that, and like we have to. So Poland entered a period of elections. There are lots of men advertising themselves on the streets of Lublin, and it reminds me of Ukraine. We do the same, and it looks like really commercials. I don't know what about your countries. For example, in Ireland, in Germany, I did not see things like that. But in Lublin and in Ukraine, I often see it, and kind of in a month they have elections, and they try playing with the emotions. That's what they do. We are also not normal, I agree with that, because we are stressed and traumatized. So sometimes it's better not like to I don't know, it's just like when you're hungry and you're angry. I don't know how about you, but when I'm hungry, I'm angry, and when I have my lunch, I become better. So, uh, well, as a person, thank you. My question is: are you typical of Ukrainian in general? I don't know. Like every person believes that he or she or they is unique. So, but in general, like I'm a product of my society. So, of course, I am, but like people are different, appearances are different. Ukraine is a big country. And by the way, it's difficult to say what is a typical Ukrainian because like some people are very blonde with blue and green eyes. Others people are like me with brown eyes and a little bit hooked nose. And like I remember, like my school teacher used to joke that looking at me, she understands that Ukraine was invaded by Ottoman Empire once. But like I had this. Um, Saying like once I worked as an interpreter for a children's dance group, national folk dance group, and they were from Istanbul, and they told me like, "Oh, you're beautiful, but you're just like ours, so it's not so interesting. Why don't you have blue eyes?" That was really funny. Добрий вечір, сестра. Дуже рада тебе бачити. Дуже рада тебе бачити. Greetings. Um, Okay, some more questions because I'm talking too much. Well, are there many women in Ukrainian politics? Not that many as I'd wish to, because I am like so interesting, you know. I cannot tell you, like, I don't know, we all treat word feminist very different, but I don't like this kind of feminism that is against men, because I believe what we have to fight for is equality, like equal opportunities. There are lots of things that I'm not angry if you will open the door in front of me. That's okay for me. But at the same time, that historically women were not suppressed in Ukraine. Of course, like everything changes with time, but in general, when you look at our history, at the way Ukraine developed, I'd say everything went pretty fine, and it will not surprise like anyone. If a woman runs for a president, we had a woman prime minister, we have women deputies and ministers, and society is very good at that. There is actually, like, you know, when elections come, there are always interesting and sometimes funny stories. And in Ukrainian narrative for uh, decades, there is a message like that women only when a woman will become a president of Ukraine, that will be a time that Ukraine will become prosperous extremely. So I believe that, of course, they can, like, in future there will be more, and I think that the female behavior in politics may be. Greetings to Geneva Oblast. We're happy to see you. So I believe that like women are more caring and other things. So it's totally okay. Uh, what do I think of Yulia Tymoshenko? Well, I think that Yulia Tymoshenko is a beautiful woman. When I was a child, I liked her a lot. Thank you so much, Pat, and hope you're wearing one of our beautiful t-shirts. You look so awesome in them, and here is mine. By the way, go check our merch from time to time, because our designer thinks he lost the talent. And she is nice. I like the way she looks, but she is an old generation politician. She had lots of contacts with oligarchs. She is super rich herself, and she does not have much support in Ukraine. She's kind of like, it was a problem that she was imprisoned by Yanukovych. It was totally wrong. It was totally unjust. But at the same time, the her politics is just like very after Soviet times, classical for this SNH style approach. So she is not that like modern, I'd say, and I don't think she has chances to return back to big politics. No, I did not make any food today. I came back yesterday, and today I decided that I will sleep as long as I want. And I bought myself pizza, cheese pizza. I like with four kinds of cheeses, and I like it. Uh, thank you so much. Thank you. Greetings to Texas. And thank you so much for being with me. I'm really honored to have you in my life. Yeah, so Tymoshenko, we discussed, like, she is beautiful. She has interesting style. She's very feminine, and at the same time, she's like, yeah, that hair. Um, I always liked her nails. She had this French manicure, as we call it. I always liked it, and I remember there was a period in my life when I only wanted it. And the hair is not fully hers, that's for sure. And she was wearing this like dresses and other stuff, but uh, yeah, I have discussed Poland at the beginning of the speech, and I've told you Poland is the country that supports us a lot. We are super grateful. We are also important for Poland. And believe me, I have lots of friends in Poland who tell me that they don't want Ukrainians to leave after the war. They are afraid Ukrainians will leave because, in comparison, I may not be very politically correct, but in comparison with lots of immigrants, they demonstrate really good behavior. They are hardworking and they don't want money, they want work. And we are not that culturally different. So that's why it's important. Uh, but like this is Poland economy is booming. Lots of good businesses, Ukrainian good businesses relocated to it. Lots of international businesses come to Poland because they believe when the war is over, they can travel to Ukraine, and now they are located in uh, Poland. So it seems to me that uh, their economy is booming, and in these difficult times this is also good. Like, we do not cause them serious, I hope we do not cause them economical losses, but just the country. Thank you so much, Bill, for I'm not reading the first part, for buying me coffees and time to drink some tea. um okay. Like, I should like drink perhaps in a more decent mode. Yeah, there are lots of women working in Poland, and they feel pretty good there, I believe. Also, there was a question whether I think many people will. Thank you so much, and greetings to the Northern Illinois. There was a question whether I think Ukrainians will return. I think many will. Look, first of all, of course, in every country and in Ukraine, there are people, there were people who wanted to leave the country, who dreamt to emigrate, live in another country. They were looking for these opportunities, and I don't want to call war as an opportunity that, but they might have left. But this is a really small percent of people, because the majority of refugees that you see, and this was not their choice. Many of them were lost because they were not very mobile. Some of the older people, especially, they did not travel much. And actually, for them, moving to another country is a huge stress. They don't know the language, they don't have friends, they don't know where their supermarket is. Well, you all know, imagine like your parents, your grandparents, like even yourself being in a totally alien environment. So for them, it was not a choice, it was they had to do it. And for those who have their cities, their houses destroyed, it's a really complicated choice to make, and I understand them. But many people realize that, of course, abroad, you cannot you cannot, like, it's different. For example, I know the language, I'm mobile, I have work that many of which I can do from outside, but I like being in Ukraine. That's my home. I love traveling. I love feeling the world, experiencing it, but I always want to come back, and many people want to come back, and I'm sure they will. Plus, once again, if we win, and we will win, and we start rebuilding, it may give lots of opportunities. And if we have a good Marshall's Plan or something like that, um, it will be really good. Thank you so much, Magnus. I'm trying, and I think I'm succeeding in pronouncing your name. Thank you so much, friend. So, in general, I think that it's important because if the country starts developing, many will come, and it will be a good opportunity to develop, and they will see it. I hope, honestly, that many that many of you, like, I mean, people from your countries will come, because Ukraine must be an open country. It was an open country before war. We always liked learning, sharing experience. We're not hating West or other things as Russia does. I think we don't have to hate anyone. Now we do have a right to hate Russians, but in general, we are very normal about the world, its diversity. We like that. We want to absorb that. And yeah, there is a children's merch because of one really beautiful person that inspired us to do that. You can check. You must find it on the webpage. Then elections, a question about elections. Of course, they should be suspended. Now it is impossible. I honestly, every Ukrainian, if you'd ask every Ukrainian, even those Ukrainians who totally dislike Zelensky, if you would ask them, do they want elections? No, because that's impossible. We realize it's impossible from all the perspectives. Huge territory of Ukraine is occupied. So what? These people do not vote. Then every territorial voting point is potential point of attack. How do you conduct these elections online? It's impossible to do this reform in this period. Plus, online is also, believe me, there will be lots of hackers attacks. There will be bombings. There will be air raid alerts all the time, and there are lots of people that are on front lines. How will they vote? That are wounded, that are abroad, like millions. It's impossible to collect all of this data. Should you ignore and just 3 regions to vote? Will it be democracy the way you see it? It's in our constitution and in your constitutions, guys. If you check that during wartime, elections are suspended. So this is totally normal, I'd say. And no one thinks if he would start building this election voting points in Ukraine right now, everyone would say he is crazy. Plus, we need international observers. Typically, 10,000 people come to observe elections in Ukraine because they are not the way in Russia. Everything is decided. How can we guarantee safety of 10,000 observers who are not trained to observe in times of war? So for me, it's not about, like, believe me, Ukrainians will never let anyone grab the power. Look at Yanukovych during Orange Revolution, then the Revolution of Dignity. This is something that our society is in total control of. But it's literally physically impossible to conduct these elections. And people who offer this are actually follow this Russian narrative. I've heard like Russian trolls writing me, oh, Zelensky is no better than Putin because he's a dictator. Come on, Putin is like almost 30 years your president, and you don't have elections. And we have these elections, and we always change something. And if we don't like, we change in between elections, and you've seen that. So it's not about getting or grasping the power just because it is impossible, physically impossible. In many regions there is just online education. Half of the Ukraine, like 1/3 of Ukraine, is destroyed, no normal connections and hot zone. There are lots of people who are relocated. How are they connected to the places they live in? How do we count the votes abroad? Come on, that is just like huge numbers, and this is totally impossible. So please, do not try to like stop those people who try to demonstrate it as a betrayal or dictatorship, because this is bullshit, honestly. In wartime, elections do not take place, but we have to win, and as soon as we win, we have to make it. Oh, there is a beautiful person that asks me, am I a Russophobe? No, I am not afraid of Russians. Phobia is a fear, but I do hate them. Honestly, the majority of them I hate. And I'm satisfied that all Russians who come now to Ukraine leave Ukraine in black packages. Thank you so much for your compliments and good things that you're saying. Ukrainians always liked the countries, the Baltic countries, Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, were always our friends, and we always liked how strong they are, and we always liked their level of their independence and confidence, and we have always supported each other. And I think that in future we will build lots of really good initiatives and unions. Thank you so much for the sponsorships that you give. And Lukasz, thank you so much. And one more sip of my tea. Yeah, so we are really good friends with this country. So we feel that when I was in Vilnius this summer, honestly, I saw more Ukrainian flags than in Ukraine. Like we have a lot, but more and support everywhere. So I'm really grateful. Glory to heroes. I'm really grateful for this level of support. This means a lot to us, guys. And thank you so much. I hope that um, I think it will, I think problems will, I mean, with grain and with Poland, I think people will uh, find the solution, and like elections will pass. Honestly, I'm very much worried about all the elections and about the US elections. I do not speak about that on my channel because I believe it's not my cup of tea. And I am smart enough to understand there are lots of things that I honestly don't know, I could not judge. Plus I've made mistakes um, with my own choices in my own country, knowing everything by myself, so I will not comment on that. But I'm very much worried because we are dependent on the support of the world, and this war is not finished. And by the way, I think it's really good that ATACMs are possibly coming, and this will be a really good message. Yeah, Jake Bro is really good person, and maybe one beautiful day we will have him on a conversation on my channel. So this will be really cool. Thank you so much, and greetings to New Zealand. I would love to see your country. It's so far away from Ukraine, and at the same time, it's really, really close to Ukraine. And greetings to Ireland. Yes, I loved your country, and I've been to many countries, like not that many as many of you, but like not few. And someone, thank you for buying me coffees. And it was really nice. It was tasty. By the way, I have to tell you that Ukraine is an extremely tasty country. We have very tasty food, and recently we were talking with colleagues like, oh my God, Ukraine finishes there where tasty food finishes. And I do hope that one day you will come to my country and you will experience that, because even the taste of like potatoes, tomatoes, and it's not that I'm patriot, I am, but like it's not influenced by that. I had lots of people who are Americans, like from EU countries, and they came to Ukraine and they said, oh my God, why your bread is so tasty? Oh my God, why cucumber is so good? Because it's Ukrainian bread basket, you know. And but I liked food in Ireland, and fish and chips, you know, and Irish stew. I was reading about that Irish stew when I was a student at school. That was my favorite subjects, like country study. We were introduced to history, geography, and I know that it's not the same, like all is different, but for me, the British Isles in general, and it was really interesting. And many of my imagination was like, they realized it was raining. And what I loved most is that instead of pigeons, I hate them, you have seagulls, and they are beautiful, they are smart, and I love that really a lot. So it was a good trip, and like Guinness beer is really, really, really light. Thank you so much for your compliments on the way I look. Girl in me is satisfied. Yeah, so you check Ukrainian restaurants. I'd like to know if you have some favorite. Thank you so much, Brian, for buying me coffees, and cheers to you and hugs your way. Glory to heroes. And I know that cool um, my cool, super professional friend and moderator Spencer likes eating out in Ukrainian restaurants. And it seems to me he's not disappointed because sometimes he shares photos with us and they look nice. I see that like a holubtsi that he eats look exactly as they should. So if you have any Ukrainian restaurants near you, you have to check them. Oh, there are many Ukrainian dishes that I like. Oh my god, pigeons taste better than seagulls. There are many Ukrainian dishes that I like. But borscht will be like I'm on this top, like borscht and holubtsi will be my top. I'm not a huge fan of vareniki. They can be really good, but for me they are like too much dough. Like I'm not a fan of that. Also, Musafir. Yeah, Musafir is really good. It's a Crimean Tatar kitchen, which is an indigenous people of Ukraine and who live in Crimea and must return to Crimea, and that will be a very tasty and beautiful place. Thank you for this sponsorship. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's a good question. Klopotenko is really cool. He's fun. This is a chef that tries to popularize Ukraine. He also changes and reforms food in our schools, which to make it more healthy and more tasty. But his restaurant, one that I was in, is not that good because he experiments a lot, and that's good for creativity. But like I am more in cuisine, I'm more traditional than modern. Mm, do you think we have Russian tourists? That was a question. Do Ukrainian and Russian tourists get along? There are no Russian tourists in Ukraine. There are no. If you call the people on tanks tourists, that it's not good season for Russian tourism. You know. Okay, who want me to create a restaurant in the US? I'm ready. We can design a menu together. Uh, yeah, there is a beetless borscht, like that could be a green borscht that is with some kind of herb. I don't know how to explain it. Chavel. Maybe someone with Ukrainian heritage knows how to translate that, and that would be good. Okay. Maybe some more questions that. For me, if you ask me about red and green borscht, I would choose red. It's more like traditional, it's everywhere, but at the same time, every region has its own recipe, and it's very, very interesting. Hmm. A question about chicken Kiev. I don't know how to, I know how to cook it. Thank you so much, Run Forest, for coffees and cheers your way. And I can cook it, but it's really complicated. And honestly, it's not a home dish in Ukraine. Like, it's not, it was invented for a restaurant sometime. And um, it's popular, but it's even more popular among foreigners than among Ukrainians. So that's what happens. Okay. Also, there was a question: did I have friends in Russia? No, I am lucky, and I did not have anyone in Russia. I do not have relatives in Russia. So I did not part with anyone. Thank you for coffee. Um, okay, question. Are Ukrainians afraid of the next winter? What is military saying about it? No, well, you have seen that recently Russia has attacked Ukraine, and for the first time, like in 6 months or something, in half a year, they targeted energy infrastructure, and which means they are returning back to their tactics of terror. And many Ukrainians like are preparing. Many bought generators last winter and will use it this winter. Of course, it will cause lots of troubles. Of course, we are thinking, and I'm sure our military are thinking too, how to protect Ukrainian infrastructure from all the evil. But you cannot, like, you know, I often get these comments from people who have no idea about what is war, and they say, well, you should have prepared better. You cannot like prepare better for or shavel sorrel. This is what green borscht is made of. Thank you so much for this. For this information. I will try to learn it. So it's all very complicated. Like, you can get prepared, and still war is very dynamic, very unpredictable, and like, how can you get fully prepared for an earthquake? Well, you can build good houses that are more or less protected. I don't know, use some technology. But at the same time, if it's a really strong earthquake, it won't help you anyway. And that's the same with Russia. And well, like a question, a financial question. I do have by PayPal. You can find a link on my page. You can use my email that is mentioned there, and that's how you can find me on PayPal. Uh, and of course, I'm also thinking to buy myself EcoFlow or something like that. Maybe if you're interested, and after I buy it, I will show you. This is a thing you can charge your um, laptop, your telephone, for, like, it does not, it will not turn electricity in your house, but it can help you charge some things, or you can even turn on. I have this thing that heats my water. Mm, I don't know what's the English for that. It's not just electricity; it's an electricity and gas, and like it's good because, like, in Ukraine, we have centralized heating and autonomous. In my house, I have autonomous, and that's good because I don't know how many of you have central heating and if it's interesting for you, but in Ukraine, you have this heating seasons, and it typically starts. So, for example, your oh my God, I have to Google some words. Oh, my English is not good. I'm sorry. I'm looking for Google Translate so that I will tell you. But sorrel is the word that I did not know. Now I forgot about the word. I don't know. It's not a battery, because that's what we heating batteries, like what is hanging on your walls to give heat into your house. Is it a battery? It's not a battery, perhaps. Like the things that give you heat. Radiator. Yes, it's radiator. And also, I have this stuff that boiler, but a boiler with gas. And so I have this autonomous heating, and it's really good. Yeah, radiator has fluid, and that's it. And a boiler, we have this like electric boilers that are small, but in my case, it's not that. It heats as much water as you want. Like, water runs through it, and you have enough like water. And So it all works on electricity and on gas. And I have gas boiler. Yes, I guess, but it's just like I know that in Ukraine boilers are for like 50 liters or 100 liters, and here it's not a boiler. It's called kotel. Kotel. It's just like a stuff that running through it, your water gets heat, and it as many as you want. And by the way, a thing that you will all hate us for example, uh, I don't have um, oh my god, like this is not my topic. Um, boilers and other. I don't have counter for water, and if you like registered alone in this house, it they simply count that you use it as one person, and I can literally use as much water as I want. And I know that in EU it's expensive. In many countries it's expensive, and I'm spoiling your water as much as I want. I'm using um, as much as I want. Yeah, and I like water. It calms me down. For example, I can take a shower for half an hour, and it does not cost me extra money. I'm sorry, guilty as I am. So and that's why at the moment we don't have electricity problems, but that's what we are talking about, that the future might bring us this problem. And so this EcoFlow that I'm talking about, it will not help me with something big, but it might help me with something smaller. The water is okay here, but like water is clean, water is good. But at the same time, people are extreme fans of drinking bottled water and buying it and so on. Greetings, Matt. Yeah, so that's what I plan to do. And if you're interested, that I will show you when I buy it. Like I had this idea, like there are videos that girls like watching what's in my bag. And you boys will never understand, but that's super interesting, really. That's what I was using for when I was like before vlogging to watch what is in, I don't know, Miley Cyrus's bag. So I thought if I'd make a video like that, then you would be surprised, like lots of things that like Ukrainians having go bag, like some water, some medicine, some additional socks, I don't know, everything. So that's interesting. Oh, like portable solar panels will not work everywhere. Like I'm live in a high story building that is not high and hidden behind other buildings. So that is not so. Thank you so much, Better, for buying me coffees, and cheers to you. Thank you. So many people bought that. Some people are buying that, but still, you won't like. Of course, I'm sure they will do that best to spoil our winter. That's why we desperately need air defense, and we desperately need more help. Greetings to British Columbia. That's a beautiful land. And I don't know, and have a safe flight. Yeah, that is important. Um, and we all know it will happen. And I have so many memories from these blackouts. I've told you already that I don't like candles anymore, though I was a very much candle person. I liked it a lot. But now I have negative associations with that. Mm, I remember like my mom passed away during these times, and I remember that it was just like a metaphor of her life to some extent. I saw those candles burning out and how fragile they are, and I saw her like lying, and the candle was lit, and for me, it's like In Ukraine, we have this comparison. It's not that popular among my population, but at the same time, people's life sometimes is compared to a candle, like that someone's candle has led to an end. So that's what associations I might have. Bug out bags, thank you. I don't plan to travel to front lines at the moment, as someone asked. Well, first of all, it's not an adventure, as Spencer corrected, and I agree. I don't think I may be of use there. If Frontline comes to my city, I hope it will not happen, but of course, then I will do everything I can to protect it. But I don't think I will be of much help. And honestly, I believe that those people who are not well trained should not be there, because some beautiful soldiers will try and save me when I do something stupid, and like 10 of us will die. That's a huge trouble, by the way, when people who don't know much travel there or do something, and good people who see they are doing a mistake and did not manage to stop them on time, then sacrifice their lives saving these fools. There are lots of examples. By the way, even among soldiers, some demonstrate stupid heroism when they want to do something extraordinary, not following the orders, and then they get in trouble, and then their group goes to save them, and whole groups dies, for example. And I think in this case we have to blame this person, because discipline is very important. So like yeah, I believe some there are different people, there are different women, there are women who fight. And thank you so much, Scott, for the coffees. I believe, like, I consider myself a strong and brave person. I went through many things, but I am not that good. Like a driving car, I don't ride a bicycle. There are things that I don't do, and I think one of the strengths is to acknowledge what are you good at and what are you bad at. um, I've told you that I'm really bad at sewing. So, for example, I can go and start sewing uniforms for Ukrainian soldiers. That would be very good, but I feel very sorry for those people who would wear them. So, I think we should concentrate on the things you do. Once again, if Frontline comes here, I will do that. Of course, there are places that I want to see, and I believe it's very important. And there are lots of strong people. I know women are good snipers, but these are some of these questions are really interesting. And but others are I want to be around when you're 100, and and I want you to be around when I'm 72. So I think it's okay. And of course, if something will really be needed. But these are typical also trolls questions. Why aren't you shooting on the front lines or other stuff? Well, I'm a girl. My country does not demand that from me. Mobilization of women is not a plan at the moment at all. And like these are also fake news that they like to spread. And people ask these questions, and some people sincerely ask that questions. So it's just like I take that as a joke. Well, I will tell you one thing that I personally do not like. And when you like, I'm really grateful when you say that I am a hero and so on. I am not a hero. I'm like not bad at um, informing people. I loved writing, and I know that like I'm not bad at writing, because one of the best Ukrainian newspapers cooperated with me and other stuff. And I, since childhood, I loved writing and telling stories. So I believe that at least I'm doing it very sincerely, and I have this sparks, and I want to tell that, I want to show that. This is very sincere. This is not for the sake of YouTubing. I started because the war started, not because I wanted to be a vlogger or something. But I hate it when people say that like we are fighting, and in Ukraine we have this inside discussion. This might be interesting for you. In Ukraine we have this inside discussion that it's not okay to say that I'm fighting on an economical front or I am fighting on an informational front. Let's not call this fierce front, because this diminishes the sacrifice of soldiers. I feel pretty comfortable at the moment with my tea and a really beautiful community of people. I am honored and privileged to speak to you. Of course, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's tiring. Sometimes, but it's life. But it's incomparable to what people go through when they are in wet trenches and they have mice running, not because of bad hygiene, but because trenches are like that. You cannot make trenches comfortable. If you can, well, they do, but uh, but in general, it's never comfortable. And you can read people telling stories how they, for example, smell coffee. They hide coffee. They don't drink it when they are really close to front lines. Once again, it's not because of bad supply or something, but literally on this first line, you cannot live normal life. We have to understand that and accept that. And that's what they do. They smell coffee in these trenches, or they bring flowers to bring them some normal smells. Because once again, if people spend so much time and it's cold, it may be rainy, and so I'd say I cannot say that I'm fighting on a front. And I hate it when some men who, for example, are not mobilized, who chose another path, and they start saying, I am fighting the economic front, I'm here doing my business. It's okay, it's also important, there are different options, but don't call it front. And what is the antonym to front? Like people that back up front lines. It's also okay. Um, it's also okay to remain on this territory and do something, but do not equate it. It's now like I remember how I hated it, like when I defended my PhD, and then you meet someone and he says, "Oh yeah, no, it's not reserve. It's a different. I will find a word in translator. Um, okay, and that will be rear, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I mean, people who all live behind the front rear areas. Yeah, and okay, and I've lost that idea what I was talking about. Today I'm weird, like maybe too much traveling. Yeah, the RIA area. And that's what we have to call it. It's also important, but let's not. Oh, when I was writing my PhD and I finished my PhD, and there will be people who'd say, oh, yes, I was writing a lot of reports at school, and you think like, really, you compare like in Ukraine it's 300-page PhD work to a 15-page report at school, do you? But so this is just the same when we talk about uh, front lines are only where soldiers are fighting with Russian orcs. No, I don't have jet lag. Perhaps you have jet lag when you travel really far away with time zones and so on. My PhD is in the sphere of linguistics. I would love to visit the United States, honestly. That is one of my dreams. I plan to return. I don't plan to immigrate, so I'm a safe person to give me a visa. But I don't have a reason at the moment to travel to the US. And yeah, thank you for sharing your experience about people fighting near Bakhmut. It's really and everywhere, even like not having a shower or something. And once again, guys, This is not because we did not organize them. This is because in such places you cannot have all of that. You're hiding. You are literally in a trench, not to be noticed. Thank you so much, Eva. You have a beautiful name. Thank you for buying me coffees. And also, one thing that many forget, and that's what I felt on these workshops in Lublin, that's what I felt in many conversations with foreigners. Um, well, people treat all Ukrainian soldiers as professional military because in your countries you do have people who are heroic and brave and strong and chose it as their career. And in Ukraine, all of our soldiers, like the majority of them, are people who were not military. They did not choose it. They don't like it. It's not their vocation. It's their obligation and their duty, and they do their best. But they were teachers, they were IT specialists, they were chefs at the restaurants, they were traders, they were taxi drivers, they were farmers, and that's a huge difference. Like, it's not a choice, because choice is also important. It does not make this military job easier, but if you're inclined, that's one thing, and if you're not, that's a totally other thing. This is just as it was during the World War and so on. So believe that, remember that when you like think, oh, but they are soldiers, they must. But yesterday they were like farmers digging potatoes and living in small villages somewhere, like having family, eating, enjoying slow living. And now they are in trenches learning how to use HIMARS. So that's a huge like thing. So thank you so much for your words of support. This really means a lot, and I know that you help me spread this message. That's why I am very grateful for that. Like, you keep this attention and support. This really means a lot to us and Ukrainians. I mean, also, I do dream to have this 100 kilobyte subscribers. This may sound funny, but like, it helps gain more viewers, and I believe that more people has to know, because especially when I travel, I feel how little people know. Even good people who support us, they are really far away from the reality of war, and I don't want to frighten them, but at the same time, I want to like provide them with this knowledge and understanding, because then they may understand some of troubles, some of imperfections that Ukrainians have, or some messages that you may not like, but come on, feel it, realize it. And for example, some people say to avoid stress, you have to plan. I agree with that. But then I have a question. How do you plan in a country at war? So anyway, yeah, thank you so much. I feel the support of the United States, and um, yeah, so we have to, like, like at school, ask one of your friends to subscribe, and imagine how many of us will come. So if you have some people who have YouTubes and who support Ukraine, ask them to subscribe. This really might help. And um, yes, I mean, yeah, kilobyte, that's funny because of Ukrainian. Yeah, kilos in Ukrainian, it's not thousands, it's kilograms. We measure everything in kilograms. So for me, kilo is like a kilogram. It was interesting, like when in Ireland, they were asking, would you like a pint of beer? And like, I know that I later realized it because we measure beers in like 0.3 liter and half a liter. These measurements are different. And in general, so I would love to travel. I try not to be afraid of flying anymore. My mom used to persuade me always, like, why are you afraid? She was not afraid. She, together with my dad, they worked as doctors in Africa, in Mali, and she flew to Mali in a really bad plane from Soviet Union. And like she was always, why are you afraid of that? And observing it all, going through it all, I think I'm not afraid anymore. So yeah, I did like the Guinness. I still have one like in the refrigerator. And so that's, I want to see the United States, but I need like a reason for that. No, I don't want to fly Russian plane. I don't want to fly with Prigozhin like people. So let's get Anna 100K would be okay. And I'm not talking about money. And I still think it would be nice for us to meet after I get 100 of supporters. And you still did not mention what places you were interested in. I had advice from my friend subscriber who typically provides me with really good, thank you, Ben, for coffee, with really good advice. And he told that like Berlin or Warsaw is really close to me. Berlin is a really good hub. And thank you so much for the memberships that you give. I have been to Uzhhorod many times, and this is one of the cities that I greatly advise you to visit after we win. It is perhaps the uh, safest place on Ukrainian territory, and hidden behind the mountains, really beautiful, very tasty. They have even warmer climate, beautiful architecture, close connections to many countries. I have been to Uzhhorod many times, and also that I like traveling by train. Perhaps that's my favorite kind of transport. I know it's different in the US and Canada, but in Europe, many people choose it as a means of transport, same as buses. And I know that in US, planes are more common, if I'm not mistaken. But here, trains can be good. And from Uzhhorod, you can travel to Hungary, you can travel to Slovakia, you can travel to many, many beautiful countries. So yeah, your grandparents were born in a beautiful place, and if you wish one day, you may like it. Thank you so much, Jenny, for coffees that you buy. Um, okay. Ukrainian language changed. Ukrainian language is a very normal language. They that evolves, and millions speak this language. And actually, I hope one day we will join European Union, and it will be one of the largest linguistic communities of the EU. One of the things that people are like afraid of Ukraine is it's big, and when we enter any union, it will be felt because like I think many of the decisions are slow just because we are like huge, and when we come, you kind of feel it. With the smaller countries, it's easier. They don't change a lot, and Ukraine's presence will definitely be felt. But I just hope that this presence will be positive. Okay, congratulations on your planes and the submarine. Yeah, thank you so much. I would love us to enter the European Union. I do not idealize any unions. I realize there are lots of troubles, but still, this is a safe place, and core values and ideas are very correct. And I hope that we can be of good help to you. Yeah, I had like quarrels, emotions when Ukraine was not invited to NATO. I know it cannot be a part of NATO during war. I know it really well. But I also know that if you want someone to join, you give some plans, roadmaps like EU did. EU gave us a questionnaire, EU gave us some deadlines, and that's what we are working on. And it's easier like to change something in your country when you have this plan. And with NATO, it was not like that. and people saying like, oh, you are still not perfect, you are corrupt or something. And then you think like, guys, you've invited many countries to NATO that were far from perfect, like that are very close to dictatorships and other stuff. So it's not perhaps about that. But of course, wine tourism, those who like wine tourism, Ukraine has a lot to offer. We have really good wine. And I am a person who drinks wine, and I cannot say that I'm super professional in that, but I do have a taste and a nose, and I can recognize good, bad, and some kinds of wine and some specific qualities. Once again, not like in French movies, but like not very far away from that. And there is some really good wine, not because I'm a Ukrainian. Odessa region, close to that, Crimea. And actually, it's a parallel that is very close to France. Like, I mean, if you travel, look around the globe. And also in Zakarpattia region, they have really good vineyards. Also in Uzhhorod, that's what you can do. Odessa black is perfect. Honestly, my editor-in-chief of the newspaper where I worked that day is also my friend and a really cool, inspiring woman. And she was also a wife of one of Ukrainian prime ministers. And he was very active in the international affairs and other stuff. And she told me that when Ukraine had diplomatic meetings, and really good diplomatic meetings were always organized with two Ukrainian wines, two kinds of Ukrainian wine that represent the country. That's correct to do so. And number one, that was Odessa Black, Odeski Chorny, which is like a black kind of grape that is grown close to Odessa. And that was really tasty. And also Troyanda Zakarpattia, which is a wine, a very sweet wine, white wine, but from Zakarpattia region, and it's really good. It's close to ice wine or something like that. So hopefully one day you will come and enjoy all of that wine in Ukraine with all the beautiful stories told about that. Okay, maybe a little bit, a couple of more questions, and I will let you go sleep and enjoy. What is the situation with romance in Ukraine? Everything is fine, just like as it was like before, or maybe more. I cannot tell you that. Like, of course, it's really difficult for many families. They are separated, and they are not just separated, they are constantly worrying about each other. And when you're even abroad and you hear that something was targeted, and in newspapers and in media, they never write directly what was. So people are super worried. And believe me, it's really hard to live not knowing what is happening with your loved ones. So, of course, it's very intense. But at the same time, lots of people are getting married, lots of people are getting divorced because war inspires you to be honest with yourself. And that is really important. Greetings to Virginia Oblast. All Russian Tsars were bad and brutal. Some of them were less like strong and were like, I don't know, not successful from this political perspective, but every successful Russian Tsar was always negative to Ukraine and was trying to destroy Ukrainian nation and language. Greetings to Portugal. And honestly, I say that the problem is like Ukraine has been a part of Austro-Hungarian Empire. Ukraine has been a part of Polish Commonwealth. There have been periods like your countries were parts of huge empires, but at the same time, Russia was the most cruel one with the greatest desire to erase everything about Ukraine, its language, and that is really bad. Okay, I don't know what the. Thank you so much for buying me coffees. Yeah, Vineyard. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you liked it. Okay. And greetings to California Oblast. Thank you so much for all that you do. Ukrainians for Russification, it's a really complicated question that will demand a lot of talking from my side. But there were lots of things. Of course, there were lots of rebellions, there were lots of cultural initiatives. There were periods when some Ukrainians gained some power and tried to do that, but that was like for 300 years, so that's a lot to talk about. And also, you can check some of my Soviet myths debunked and Russian crime series where I talk about that. And greetings to New York. I know you live in a beautiful city. And also, I encourage you to subscribe to my Instagram. Perhaps this is the other most active platform that I'm on. I share some photos, more of my trips, because here YouTube is the main platform, of course, but here I don't want to distract you from our main topic. So if you wish, you can find the link in the description. Also, I'm on Twitter and Threads. I know Twitter is a weird place because of a weird mask, but I don't want you to be scammed, and there were cases. So anyway, Discord community, I have one of my beautiful dictators, Martin, controlling it. And Ruski Mir, well, like Ruski Mir is something that they often discuss in Russia, and people protect it. People like it. They like it as a doctrine, as a Nazi doctrine. They like it and they believe it is something good. Yeah, I know that California has really good wine. And the situation with Poland will definitely be okay because we are friends and we have common enemy, and I'm sure everything will be all right. And it seems to me Zelensky was in Lublin today, just like chasing me. I'm joking, but like from his trip to Canada, and I'm super grateful, guys, that in the USA and in Canada you've greeted him so well, and now he on his way back. He was traveling and he popped in Lublin. So thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for the coffees. Thank you for being my patrons and helping us with Sasha developing the channel and filming more. And let me know, what do you think about my conversations with people? Whom would you like me to invite more? Because I think that we need to talk more, because like I do these interviews because I want to get some answers on questions that I have, and I respect these people greatly, and I think not many talk about future, and that's important. But let me know, what are the people you would like me to invite, or what are the questions we would like to discuss. Also, I love you very much. Honestly, I'm so proud to have you in my life, and I'm so grateful that you care about Ukraine. You have a choice to live your life, enjoy your life, and not focus on our problems. Of course, that wouldn't be smart, because I believe that Russia is a global threat. And if it could have won Ukraine, it would continue. But together we will stop it. And I'm very grateful that you do that together with us. Yes, I have a plan to speak with Jake, and he is a very important person for my channel, because the number of subscribers seriously grew after his conversation, and I greatly value his analysis. It's really deep, really good, and he is professional. in this the very best meaning of this word. So thank you so much that you are a part of my life. I can be different in the videos, but I'm always sincere with you, and I'm super grateful. Provide me with ideas. I always read the comments. I may not always answer them, but I always read. Yeah, Ukraine matters. I've heard about this idea. I will think on that. Thank you. Anyway, let me know what are the things you would like to learn more. Remember that I love you a lot. Tomorrow there will be a new episode of Discover Ukraine and more updates to come. I hope that I will have more news about. We were joking like with Sasha recently because Sasha is the one who helps me with thumbnails on YouTube, and he told me, Anya, that's the Ukrainian, by the way, that's how people would call me, like the diminutive. Anya, I am so tired of these explosions because I tell him like, oh my god, we need another explosion. We have like destroyed the headquarters of Sevastopol Navy. We have to something like Russian air defense exploded, and this is all very good. And he says like, I don't have any more new ideas for these explosions, but I do hope we will have more updates on explosions on Russian military objects and more news about the liberation of Ukrainian territories. That would be good. So I will work more. I will find more photos of explosions so Sasha is able to provide new thumbnails. Anyway, thank you so much once again. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Spencer. You are fantastic people, and I'm grateful to have you in my life. Thank you so many of you who have come, my dear sister. I'm glad to know you more. And all the beautiful people from all oblasts of the world. And I hope one day we will be able to meet and greet and hug and talk in Ukraine. But so far, let's meet online. And once again, thank you for being with me. Invite your friends to subscribe, check our merch, do other things. Enjoy your life, and remember that we have to remain strong and we have to finish Russia. Thank you so much once again, and Slava Ukraini.